And to discuss the elections in Barbados, we now welcome back Dexter Rose, who's a journalist and diplomat from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Dexter, can you hear me now?
I'm hearing you fine. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Dexter, my first question is how important today's elections are for Barbados?
Well, let's go to the background. Mia Mottley won elections in Barbados just not too long ago. And she surprised everybody by calling elections at this time when she still had, we've got in the Commonwealth Caribbean, we got 5-year terms between election and election. She was nowhere near the end of her 5-year term, and here you saw her calling fresh elections. It surprised a lot of persons, but analysts would see it as a way of Mia Mottley consolidating her power, coming on the cusp of the popularity. She presently commands tremendous popularity internationally. Locally, she had won all the seats in the general elections. And while there are rumors about her having had some bit of discontent within the party, whether it's true or not, the important thing is that her calling the poll at this time, she's going to ask the public to repose their confidence in her for another 5-year term. Having done that, having been a lady who took Barbados into Republican status, which is a momentous thing, here she is now consolidating her grip and power. And it's a gamble. It can go another way. She could well lose the election, but nobody expects her. I don't expect her to lose the election.
Dexter, you mentioned there about Barbados becoming a republic. There have been discussions that this could influence other countries in the Caribbean to throw off the shackles of colonialism. Do you think that could happen?
Well, the whole issue of the way the British built the constitutions in these parts, and most of our countries, when we went towards independence, we basically just tinkered a little bit with our constitutions. But it's not very easy to get the mandate in our parliament to go towards a Republican status. Mia Mottley in Barbados could have done it because she had won all 30 seats. Unprecedented. It has happened a few times in St. Vincent. Sir James Mitchell some years ago did that. In Grenada, Keith Mitchell did that. But it doesn't usually happen. Other countries have been talking about going Republican, going the route of republic. For instance, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves here in St. Vincent in 2009, he had a referendum which would have seen us implementing a very progressive constitution. And among the things that were being asked for is for us to go in that route. You talk about the rest of the Caribbean. Since this happened, there's been a lot of calls in Jamaica, which interestingly is one of the earliest countries in the Commonwealth Caribbean and English-speaking Caribbean to become independent. One would ask, why Jamaica, that has such a progressive image, hasn't gone the route of republicanism? Yes, it has created calls once again for other countries to follow suit, but it is really not that easy because it depends on the sort of power, the sort of majority one has and one can get in a bicameral parliament to be able to do it. So while the progressives among us talk about it, but it's not quite that simple.
Dexter, what are the challenges ahead for the next government in Barbados? Of course, the whole Caribbean region has been impacted, like the world, by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, of course, there's a COVID-19 pandemic, and there are persons who are saying that maybe Mia Mottley wants a new mandate so that she can introduce some vaccine mandates, which have been sort of unpopular in the region. We've got the regular problems like climate change. It's a big problem because Barbados, for instance, is one of the flattest countries in the region. And the rise of sea levels can impact Barbados very negatively. So we've got the same kinds of small island developing states. We all face some serious challenges. That's why it's so important that you have a government that is popular, government that has this hand on the pulse, has its pulse on what's happening. Mia Mottley, like I said, you all would have seen her. You've seen her on different fora. You saw at the COP conference in Scotland speaking on issues. We've all got challenges, and one of the challenges is for us to face our. I almost want to think in Spanish. Barbados redundancy. It's for us to come together as a unified Caribbean when we face some of these challenges, so that we don't attempt to do things just by ourselves and be lost. Our power, the power of CARICOM and the United Nations, lies in the fact that we usually vote en bloc. Our participation in any international body, as we face issues, as we face challenges, lies in this. Our power comes from us coming together, making joint decisions, and voting en bloc.
Dexter, as you're saying there, it's very important for the Caribbean to remain united. Given the results that we could have today and the possible composition of the new government in Barbados, how could that maybe shape the relations with the wider Caribbean region?
Well, it can, because Barbados has always been an educational powerhouse in the region. It's been an example of a country that has progressed in terms of literacy. It's one of the centers of the University of the West Indies, built in Barbados. Mia Mottley has a tremendous amount of popularity, and she, from my observation of her, she seems to have a very good rapport with most of the leaders, because she's relatively new at the helm, not a new politician, but relatively new at the helm as a prime minister. I think she has a better chance than many others to be able to network with the other leaders, so we can get a lot of consensus on issues. We've had in the past a few times when, sadly, we have seen CARICOM's unity being broken on just a few issues, especially when it concerns the United States. But we're seeing a new light. We're seeing a new light. There's Mia Mottley there. There's Ralph Gonsalves in St. Vincent. There's Keith Rowley in Trinidad. Roosevelt Carrot in Dominica. Progressive lights, and we can look forward. And I would look forward personally to Mia Mottley regaining government tonight, so that we can continue the work that she and we have started as a Caribbean people.
Dexter Rose, journalist and diplomat, thank you so much for joining us and for offering your insight into these important elections for Barbados and the wider region. Thank you.
Thanks to you, and have a good night.